So I grew up for as long as I've ever known as a competitive dancer. My mom put me in dance classes when I was like 2 years old, and my older sister was a competitive dancer as well. So I was really surrounded by that and really committed to that. And with dancing came, some musical theater style and a bunch of other stuff like that within the performing arts. And I found that I really took a liking to singing. And it started with singing, and I started taking singing lessons and doing all of that kind of stuff. And then, kind of naturally, one of my best friend's moms at the time said, "Oh, I found like an audition on Craigslist for some background role that was filming in our state." And I was like, great, like let's do it. And so me, my friend, and our moms, we went and spent the day at LazyTown's on this set. And I realized it was so amazing being on set and behind the scenes of making a movie and being an actor and seeing the director and the cameraman. I just thought it was all just so amazing, and I was like, I want to do this. So from there, my mom kind of did the groundwork and found me a manager and an agent. And I started my relationship there, kind of doing a bunch of commercials and print ads, modeling, and I was getting auditions regularly, leaving school with my mom to come into New York City. This was when everything was always in person. There were no such thing as self-tapes yet. Yeah, so I kind of got an audition just like any other, saying, for the role of LazyTown. It was at this point in, 2010, so seasons 1 and 2 had already been filmed with Juliana. But I was not familiar myself with the show that much. I grew up with older siblings, and I think I was just always watching what they were watching, like at night and things like that. But I thought it was great, so I went to the audition, not knowing much, and the rest is history from there. But that's what got me the audition. Yeah. I feel like I was constantly learning new things, experiencing new things, growing, testing myself, overcoming things. So it taught me a lot of, professionalism, perseverance, just dedication and hard work, and what it means to show up every single day ready to go. So I definitely did feel like I learned a lot. But as far as like the health and fitness, I feel like that was something, it was talked about on set a lot, and I think in general, when I think of what I learned in that regard, it mostly came from just Magnus being an inspiration to me, because he was the epitome of, Sporticus, really. Like, he did the aerobics, he was such a high energy personality, he loved to help people, he loved to be around people, and educate kids, and he really was so passionate about eating healthy and staying fit, and he still is to this day. So I feel like that was like a really big eye-opener as well, and he was just such a source of inspiration for, I feel like, a lot of us on set. I was the only kid, and it was just me and my mom. I would sometimes have friends or siblings visit. But I always say this every time I talk about Lazy Town, and my one of my fondest memories. This question is so hard because I have so many. I spent 2 years there, so I have just so many. But to kind of sum it up in general, looking back, it was so special how I was treated. I feel like people, all the adults and all of my, co-stars and co-workers. Lazy Town was filmed in Iceland, as I'm sure you know, but also in a building that everyone was under the same roof. So we had HR, PR, marketing, advertising, the CEO, the storyboard writers, the costume designers, everything. So anyone that was associated with Lazy Town, we were all under one roof. So what I loved to do was I had a little Razor scooter on set, and we had multiple floors. and I would scooter all around the hallways and up and down the elevator and through the cafeteria and pop into everyone's office, just saying hey, chatting with them. And everyone always made time for me, always ready to chat and have fun. I did have a tutor on set, and so we did a lot of my learning there, and we did a lot of projects, like science projects, just to kind of make the learning fun. And everyone, something I love so much is that everyone would always participate in my science projects.
Oh,
So I have photos and videos of there was this one time where I built a volcano and, did the stuff to make it erupt and all of that. And Iceland, there's lava everywhere. So I was using lava from the backyard.
oh my
And
gosh.
it was a really nice volcano, but it was on lunch break and I was in between shooting a scene. I was in my Stephanie costume, obviously, and I put my robe on and we went outside and I did my science project and everyone came and they all cheered me on and recorded it and we did all that, and then we did an egg drop contest and everyone built their own thing and we were all in teams, and at lunch we dropped it off the balcony. So it's just stuff like that, looking back, they really didn't have to feed into those kind of fun little games,
Yeah.
but everyone really cared for me, and I think knew how important keeping my in touch with my child side was. So those are some of my fondest memories, just us being silly and goofy and all the adults being willing to do silly kid things with me. I think, I knew it was on TV and I knew that was cool because people saw me on TV, but it wasn't until years later, actually, when I feel like I became old enough to start partaking in social media in a personal way like that. So obviously, over COVID was something big with TikTok. And I just feel like social media really took a turn, and at least for me anyway, because over COVID is when I decided oh, I want to, be more active, I think, on social media consistently. And, I got my verified badge on Instagram. I made a TikTok, it was definitely a pivot, I think, for me. And that's when I started noticing, and my YouTube as well. And so it's all these different platforms that I started posting on regularly and started noticing all the people that came to my page knowing who I was and being just the amount of comments I would get saying, you made my childhood, or just something, in the likes of, I watched you when I was a kid. It really put into perspective, wow, so many people know the show, loved the show. Yeah, it's still hard to wrap my head around to this day, because everyone in my life treats me like a normal person, which I like. But yeah, sometimes I take a step back and I'm like, that's insane. And I probably should have realized it when I was 11 years old and they flew me out to Beijing to perform at the Chinese New Year as Stephanie. Yeah, and there was so many people that saw that and that were there, and yeah, even still it's hard to click whoa, what a sheer amount of not only impact but just people that have seen it. It's really crazy. It's an interesting question. I don't know if I've been asked that one before, and I feel like it's hard to know, because part of me wants to say, oh, it'll always be popular and it'll always be loved. And I feel because I think if the show was reinvented in some sort of way today, it would do really well. But when I say it out loud, I can't tell if it's only because a lot of people have that nostalgic attachment to it and just find, I think, comfort, and whether they truly enjoy the show for the entertainment or just find the comfort in it. I feel that is what would really carry it. But if we're talking clean slate, a new generation of kids in 10, 20 years from now, would that still reach? I feel yes, because I think one thing that was super specific or special about LazyTown is Magnus was always very committed to everything being perfection and the best of the best. And I feel like one of the reasons it was a big hit is because of all of the bright colors and like good music, and it had that same kind of setup every episode. There was something would happen with Robbie Rotten. He tries to change his form, he gets caught, we persevere. I feel like it would do well with the kids just because of how high quality it is. It's all CGI, like even the puppets. I mean, it's all just, how can it not be entertaining to the young mind?
Yeah.
But as far as the storyline, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's hard to tell how it would resonate. I've been acting full time since I graduated, and modeling full time. And then I also have some other part-time jobs. I work retail and in the service industry, which is, I feel like it goes hand in hand with acting.
Yes.
When you're paid, The New York hustle is what I like to describe my life right now as. But it's great. I make content regularly. So that includes vlogs and just Instagram content, photos and reels, some TikToks. And I like to do a lot of brand ambassadorships or partnerships. So that's kind of how I fill my time and what I do. I live with my boyfriend. We've been together for 4 years. And I'm still just, focusing on my acting and taking my lessons. And I audition every week through self-tapes, which is great. I honestly love the convenience of self-taping. It's a very controversial way to go about it, I feel like, in the industry. And as much as I do miss the in-person auditions, they are just like treats when they come. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I am open to a lot of different things, but for me, mostly it's, my main goal is drama. So I feel like there's a lot of different shows that I could work well in. I auditioned for a lot of like the Law and Order SVU, General Hospital, FBI, a lot of guest star roles like that, and feel really lucky when I get the opportunity to do some bigger roles, like, lead in an A24 film, or I don't know, there's been a lot of remakes of films recently. So I feel like that is currently what I'm aiming for. Either a co-star, guest star, lead role in a TV film, drama, something like that.